Hey everybody, welcome back to our house. This is my daughter Kimberly. Kimberly, say hey. And we're going to read to you an awesome story today. This one is called The Fantastic Flying Books of Morris Lessmore. And it's by the great talented author and writer William Joyce. And this just happens to be my autographed copy from when I met him a few years ago. So let's get started. It says Morris Lessmore loved words. He loved stories. He loved books. His life was a book of his own writing, one orderly page after the other. He would open it every morning and write of his joys and his sorrows, of all that he knew and everything he hoped for. But every story has its upsets. One day, the sky darkened and the winds blew and blew, till everything Morris knew was scattered, even the words on his page. You notice the color. The color's all gone because everything in his life is turned upside down at this moment. He didn't know which way to go, so he began to wander and wander. Then a happy bit of happenstance happened. Rather than looking down, which had become his habit, Morris Lessmore looked up. Drifting through the sky above him, Morris saw a lovely lady. She was being pulled along by a festive squadron of flying books. And see, he still has no color, and she is full of color. Maybe books make the difference. Morris wondered if his book could fly, but it couldn't. It would only fall to the ground with a depressing thud. The flying lady knew Morris simply needed a good story, so she sent him her favorite. The book was an amiable fellow and urged Morris to follow him. You know who that is? Humpty Dumpty. The book led him to an extraordinary building where many of the books apparently nested. Place with some pretty awesome books. Somewhere I would like to be. Morris slowly walked inside and discovered the most mysterious and inviting room he had ever seen. It was filled with a fluttering of countless pages, and Morris could hear the faint clatter of 1,000 different stories, as if each book were whispering an invitation to adventure. And if you can see, Morris is still kind of a gray tone, while everything else is full of color. He hasn't got his color back yet. Then his new friend flew up to him and landed on his arm, and held itself open as if hoping to be read. The room rustled to life, and so Morris's life among the books began. So when he began to read, he began to be filled with color. And look, he's happy again. Morris tried to keep the books in some sort of order, but they always mixed themselves up. The tragedies needed cheering up and would visit the comedies. The encyclopedias, weary of facts, would relax with the comic books and fiction. All in all, it was an agreeable jumble. Morris found great satisfaction in caring for the books, gently fixing those with fragile bindings and unfolding the dog-eared pages of others. He's a book doctor. You know a book doctor? Sometimes Morris would become lost in a book, and scarcely emerge for days. It's a good place to be, is lost in a book like that. Morris liked to share the books with others. Sometimes it was a favorite that everyone loved, and other times he found a lonely little volume whose tale was seldom told. Ever Everyone's story matters, said Morris, and all the books agreed. You notice all the people? How they're gray in that monotone before they get to Morris, and then he hands them a book, and they become full of color again. Everybody's story matters, and everybody can find the right book for them. At night, after all the stories that needed telling had been told, and everyone had settled down in their proper places on the shelves, the great big dictionary would get in the last word. And then, that was Morris Lessmore once again. He would write in his own book. He wrote of his joys and his sorrows, of all that he knew, and everything he hoped for. The days passed, and so did the months. And then years and years. Look at Morris. Now he's an old man, still holding on to his favorite story. And Morris Lessmore became stooped and crinkly. But the books never changed. Their stories always stayed the same. Now his old friends took care of him the way that he had taken care of them, and they read themselves to him every night. Then one day, he filled the last page in his book. He looked up and said with a bittersweet sigh, "I guess it's time for me to move on." You see his friend there? It's still with him. The books were sorry, but they understood. Morris put on his hat, took his cane, and as he went to the door, he turned and smiled. Then he waved goodbye. "I'll carry you all in here," he said, as he pointed to his heart. See his friends down there. They kind of look sad. The books waved their pages as Morris Lessmore flew away. And as he flew, he changed back to the way he had been that long ago day when they'd all first met. Now he was being pulled by all the books. The books were quiet for a while. Then they noticed that Morris had left something. It's his book! And his oldest friend inside was Morris's story, all of his joys and his sorrows, all that he knew, and everything he hoped for. Then the books heard a small, expectant sound. There in the doorway was a little girl. She looked around with wonder. Then something fantastic happened. Morris Lessmore's book flew up to her and opened its pages. The girl began to read. And so our story ends as it began. Notice the little girl. Notice her color. And then notice what happens when she opens the book. With the opening of a book. The end. So stories give us great hope. They give us great joy. And they can take any bad situation and turn it into something good. So I hope that you all find a great book that you enjoy right now. Or just keep listening to mine and find one that is your favorite. I love you guys, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.